So Caster of Nightless City was the one behind the demon god pillar the whole time. I suppose it makes sense. A little bit of a weak plot twist coming out of nowhere, but hey, they did that last time too. But let's see what we got. The story comes to fruition. You're the one behind all this? Whoa! Huh? I don't understand. What do you mean the story is complete? Very well. My one miscast. Now that everything is concluded, I shall tell you. It's very simple. In brief, I created Agartha by having my noble phantasm. My stories erode the real world. Put differently, you all have been inside my 1001 nights this entire time. What? But that doesn't make any sense. The 1001 Nights does have a story set in an underground world, but it's nothing like this. And needless to say, they definitely didn't include Yeast, the Nightless City, El Dorado, the Peach Garden, or the Dragon Palace. That may be, but I never told the tales of Aladdin or Alibaba when I was alive either. What? Now I see. The 1001 Nights as we know them now contain a number of parts that were added over the course of various retellings. But if she's able to use them all without any issue, it may be that she gets to decide what the 1001 Nights are. Indeed, the stories I learned through books, stories I improvised myself, stories that came after my time, but that I could have plausibly told. The 1001 Nights were never a fixed set, but all a malleable collection that grew over time. And as such, it only makes sense that I would have the right to choose what goes into them. Now that you point that out, I can see the connection between the world and your noble phantasm. Fictional or not, everything here is part of a story. I might have realized it sooner if I paid more attention to that. Then again, maybe I didn't realize it because there's still something I can't quite believe. The sheer scale and rigidity of this world. This is on a whole other level from the monsters Shakespeare wrote into existence in Shinjuku. Here it's more like the rules of this world. Rather, the entire singularity is itself a story. That's the equivalent of rewriting reality. That would have to be an incredibly powerful spell, something on par with a reality marble. I guess it's possible for a demon god pillar, but still. I suspected as much. All stories, whether they be fiction or non-fiction, have an element of inauthenticity. Even non-fiction? Of course, after all, when one is describing events as a story, by definition, those events are not taking place in reality. Okay, English please? What's all that mean? It means that it means the evidence was in plain sight from the beginning. Every servant here has had some manner of inauthenticity to them. That is the proof that this has all been a story. What do you mean by that, Holmes? The underground domain has blended together a story and reality to an even greater degree than Shinjuku. In Shinjuku, the blend merely occurred as a result of Bial's choice of the to use phantom spirits. But in Agartha, I sense it to be a deliberate choice. Once this unnatural underground space was created, heroic spirits were summoned to it, but with significant alterations made to them. Some reactions were all but inevitable in the process. In this case, I believe that they were the story each servant was made to perform. Wait, back up. Did you say every servant here? I did indeed. Let's begin with the most obvious examples. Surely there was something that struck you as inauthentic about them? Christopher Columbus had amnesia. Hercules was Hercules Megalos, an enormous mindless beast in a constant berserk state. And Drake was Dahut. Those are certainly the clearest examples, but I'm afraid I had no other choice. After all, Pirate Princess Dahut, the ruler of Ys, was simply impossible to summon as a servant. I see. That puts one in mind of phantom spirits. Yeah, to be honest, Wu Zetian and the Nightless City have been nagging at me for a while now. What do you mean? They're from an entirely different period. Wu Zetian is from the Tang Dynasty, and the Nightless City is from the Han Dynasty. I let it pass by me at first since they both come from China. But when you think about it, it makes no sense for Wu Zetian to be the ruler of Nightless City. They have no connection other than their country and the hundreds of years apart historically. So yeah, kind of like how Thomas Edison became the present king. Assuming that it was indeed Wu Zetian's inauthenticity, the final piece is the Amazons, the most elementary of all the errors. They fall into much the same category as Wu Zetian in their historical domain differed greatly from the land they controlled here. But didn't the Amazons live in the jungle? Well yeah, but El Dorado's in South America, wasn't it? Precisely. Those who lived in the jungles of South America, the ones who protected El Dorado, are entirely different from the warrior women of Greek mythology. Some believe the tribe of women who lived here in the jungle only came to be associated due to their similarities to the myth. And that is why the river and the surrounding area became known as the Amazon. In essence, the Greek figures were no more than the model for those stories of El Dorado. And so, the fact that the peninsula... And the fact that the Berserker of El Dorado lived in El Dorado was itself another inauthenticity. And then, there's me, the fledgling warrior, the Fergus who's nothing like the Fergus you all know. Caster, you said that I was your one miscast. What do you mean by that? Fergus Mac Rioche. Your intended role was to stir up Agartha, though in a different way than Hercules. I had read that you were the embodiment of male sexuality, that you required 7 women every night just to satisfy your lust. I thought you would be even lustier if I summoned you in your youth, but you ended up being too young. I could not have imagined that you would appear as a boy uncomfortable around women to the point that you could not even raise a hand against one. You are by far my greatest miscalculation. A miscalculation? I'm only here because of a mistake? I'm a pointless side character, a half-baked extra. I hate to admit it, but that makes a lot of sense. I haven't been any help in a single battle so far. It didn't matter whether I was there or not. But that's only true for the audience. For me, this adventure has been... Fergus. Yes, Master Fergus's inauthenticity is his youth. Essentially, everything we see before us now. One might go so far as to assert that every other servant who may have been summoned here and eliminated prior to our meeting them would have had some inauthentic characteristic about them. Then the noble phantasm you've been using before all this time, Alf Layla Wa Layla, the 1001 Nights. Is that what you used to create this world and to summon twisted forms of servants to fill it? I only have one question. Why would you do such a thing? You really have to ask? I thought my desire had been made quite clear. I certainly voiced it often enough. Then your objective is to live a long life? No, I never said anything like that. All I want is to not die. Isn't that the same thing? No, it's not, because... Not in the slightest. As long as you are alive, you will one day have to die. Excuse me, but you do know that we're all servants, right? What difference does that make? To exist now inevitably means dying later. It's the same thing. In the end, we servants are nothing more than familiars. Once our task is finished, we disappear. That too is death. It holds the same chill, solitude, misery, the same terrifying intercourse with nothingness as when you cease to exist. I can't stand it. I spent every one of those 1001 nights wishing I could do something, wishing for nothing more than to not die. Every fiber of my being is terrified of death. And as a heroic spirit, the only way for me to ever avoid dying is to destroy the world. The man who summoned me taught me that. Then that man must be the demon god pillar. When she first showed up, I of course scanned her for the demon god pillar's signals. If she really was the one who had been working with him, then how did she avoid detection? Let's not forget the other little tiny things she brought up. Did you just say destroy the world? Agartha's story is one in which related stories and those servants summoned here mingle and fight, and ultimately come to fruition once they disappear. My noble phantasm gives stories form. His power made them real. Very soon, my story, the story of Agartha, will assume the form it was always meant to take. Everything's shaking. No, it's not that. I can't believe it. Your z-axis coordinates are rising rapidly. The ground's moving. The sky is splitting. It's like the entire space is moving upward. Foe! What the? The real sky instead is the real sky instead of a rocky ceiling below. Impossible. Do you mean to tell me that we're flying? This is Agartha's final form come to life. Another story all its own. It is now the floating city of Laputa. I offered up everything I had to the king in order to not die. Not only my stories, but my body as well. As such, there can be no more fitting name for a finale than Laputa, the whore. Wait, that's what Laputa means? Really? Well, wait a minute. Okay, yeah, I think I get it. Rise, Laputa. Gaze down upon the earth and plummet towards it. You shall be the last of the mythical cities, the destroyer of the world's natural laws. Everything is shaking now. So basically she's pulling an Ultron. Like, this is exactly what Ultron tried to do in Avengers 2. Golden Temple, all the way over here. The Women of Agartha. The final showdown, but that is a lot of arrows, so we're going to save that one for next time. Thank you all so much for watching. This has been Blade Cross EXE, part of Flagship Blades Productions, with Fate Grand Order's Agartha Singularity, now at Laputa. Alright, join us next time when we finish this out. Peace out.